This paper was presented at the JCT Traffic Signal Symposium 2025. Video coverage of this paper is provided by Highways News and sponsored by Mobius Networks, AGD, Smart Micro UK, TRL Software, Traffic Group Signals, AD Electronics, and Four-Way Consulting.
It sounds like this thing is rolling all by itself, so I'll let it populate. Those that know me know that I tend to speak my mind. Right, value engineering. We need to think of ways that we can make money go further. We don't get it. It's often sporadic in its delivery. The equipment we're using is unique. It costs money. We've got a very slow process of development. We're often got unevenness between, oh God, it's going really fast. I haven't reversed this at all, as you can tell. Basically, the message is that we need to look at the money we've got and how we spend it. These slides are available afterwards, so I'll let it carry on at its own speed, it would seem. The TSOG money. I've basically started off with a proposal to have 10 PED crossings. I then reevaluated it and we've ended up with proposed 12 crossings. When we first got the prices back in with a turnkey solution, the prices were very, very high and it was unaffordable. So we've had to rethink things and we've ended up with literally going right back to the ground and literally just that, the infrastructure. We have got to this point where we have lots of spare cores thrown into the system just in case. On bigger sites, we've found that infestation of rats, etc., have chewed through all of these cables, and all of these spare cores are proven completely useless. I might not be keeping up with this, you'll have to apologise for that. But basically, with that sort of redesign, we've looked at the infrastructure and we've gone away from direct buried poles, we've gone away from base seal, we've made things reusable. So we've got sockets and we've got raised bases. We can add cables as and when we need to. So why are we putting extra cores in now? Yeah, we haven't got the money to spend now, but as things develop, as the new technology, as funding appears, then we can add the right type of cable. We might not need spare cores, we might need to put an Ethernet cable in. We'll be able to do that, but we can make the money we got now go as far as possible. So with the right infrastructure, we can lift poles out, add cables, put the pole back in, quick and easy. We can run a new cable in a matter of hours now, instead of days. So we've moved to this point. Oh God, I am really, really behind. That was basically about sort of the surveys, and basically by doing the right process. So we're doing surveys, and the right survey back to the old way. Cat and Jenny, shovel and spade, basically, or jackhammer and spade, I think it says. And tracing the old cable, using old ducts, getting adapters from the old ducting to new ducting, putting the controllers on the end of those ductings saves digging. I've actually, these 12 sites, the designs I've got, every single survey that I had done came back with, I've got to redig across the carriageways. I'm at site 8. I've not had to do a single road crossing yet. I've done some clever things. I say myself, but basically I've looked at what we've got, and I've got in things to sort problems. We've rodded across this clay duct, and we've found it's fine. We've put the rod on the surface. We know we've got all the way across. So we didn't see a chamber either side. We had no evidence of it. We've looked at it ourselves. We found that, and by doing so, I haven't needed to trench across the road. I've just had to put the duct in on the footpath, but I've relocated the controller. I've left the supply pillar where it is, so I've not had to get the DNO in to move it for me and cause delays and things like that. So it's helped us to deliver on time, and we've ended up with less cable and a cleaner, neater install. Has it stopped by itself? I don't know. Effectively, we've ended up with one chamber, and we've used a controller base as the chamber for the opposite side of the road, which again has saved infrastructure, but we have still got a solid infrastructure there which we can expand on. The condensed cabling comes into it in the sense that the designs I had, I was looking at two 20-core cables to each pole, which one of the sales pitch from Unix with their plus is you need a single cable. By looking at the amount of cores that we're actually going to use, I was able to get this right the way down to the single core, a single cable to each pole, based on reducing the number of cores we're going to use, and with no requirement for spare cores. Yeah, so if we don't need the spare cores, then why have them? With that, I've ended with a 16 core and a 20 core. The 20 cores for the solar cell, that needs 3 cores. Otherwise, we could have had 16 cores to each pole. So if we did want a 4-pole site, there's only one of those poles that would have needed the 20 core. With that condensed approach, I've reduced over 70 meters of cable on some of the sites, which is it seems not a lot, but it is savings. We're back on target to be able to deliver these well within the TSOC budget that we've had for it, and we've been able to make it 12 sites instead of the 10. The cabinet is as clean, as neat as plus. There's virtually nothing there. It makes it very easy to maintain. We can see everything. So it was all about the cabling. So it was just analysing. I've got this little bit about the audible there. I was literally looking at replacing a Pelican with a Puffin. Pelicans, like somebody said, triggers broom. We've kept them going by changing bits and pieces, but DFT have been adamant for a long time that we're supposed to move away from them. And again, I like them because of the flash in amber. Without that flash in amber, to allow slow people like me to cross the road, we need it to either have a very long red period for us to get across, which isn't needed on most people, but for some of us it is. So we've had to put on crossings on for that. That's something above and beyond. We've had to pay for that extra sensor. It's something that could fail, so therefore it's going to need to be maintained. But it meets the DFT requirements. I've not bothered with curbsides on our design simply because this process was all about delivering a replacement for pedestrian crossings, but I've included the cabling in the schematic, which will pop up in a minute, I think. There, right. So that's a standard schematic, and it's gone. That was quick. So, but basically, I've looked at it on a way to minimise the amount of equipment and maximise what we can do with the money. That's a T-Sog, completely replaced, looking nice and sparkly new. I don't quite know how to stop this, but at some point we will get to the point of the energy savings. I've changed this site, and in changing it over to new equipment, I've actually reduced the wattage load by using the Unix low-powered Actus signal heads and AGD's near-side equipment. And doing that, I've gone from over 330 watts per hour lamp load right the way down to just 38, and just 12 watts overnight. So that's a massive saving just using that modern technology. So we can use things to save energy and still do it cheaply, which is what I've been trying to say. I'm quite pleased my slides are actually doing a better job than me. I've added this slide in mainly because one of the issues we had was blocked ducts. This is something we've all got, or we've got access to. A gully sucker. That can unblock a road crossing very, very quick. This guy was there for 1.5 hours. In that time, we found 2 completely blocked chambers were cleared out, and they actually found those 2 road crossings there, not just one. We were able to clear them out, and the guy was back on gully cleaning in less than 2 hours. But in that time, it saved me a week of delays to actually trench across that road. Oh, thank you very much. I'm not sure that was meant to be in there. I will be putting this out on the LinkedIn later next week, and yeah, any questions?
Right,
My
can
apologies.
I first of all say, I have seen people go to absolute pieces when things like this happen, and Lyndon just carried on brilliantly and needs a huge round of applause for that.
Yeah.
That was excellent. Thank you, Lyndon. And,
That's all right.
well, it kept everyone awake on the last presentation of the event, didn't it? That was the good thing, to see what was going to happen next. Yeah. Have we got time for a couple of questions? Yes. Who would like to ask one? Anyone got a question? Hang on a second.
Did I really do that bad a job? Yeah.
Do you know what? When you moderate at the JCT Traffic Signal Symposium, what you do is you look around, and if no one else has got their hand up, then you look at Mark and he'll ask the question.
Or me.
He's not here. Well, there you go. We will move on. A huge round of applause again for Lyndon, please. Thank you.